Come on, I got something to show you. I like the spot. Hey, do you like the spot? What do you think, Dozer? You like the spot? What do you think, Flip? What do you think, Dolly? What do you think, Walter? You good? Anyways, as I was saying, I love the spot. It's high ground. It's beautiful. I got the flatlands here. I got the rolling hills in the background. I got the pond. And that makes me want to build a house here. So that's what this video is dedicated to. I'm going to take you through everything. It's going to be the last time I talk about a lot of stuff. Why I left Vietnam, the 3 places I've been through the past like 10 months trying to decide if I want to live, which are Asia, Europe, and America, and why I chose the farm. It's going to be a pure talking video. I got a lot to cover, but we're going to have to sit somewhere else because I done forgot my cap that blocks the wind, and it's a hella windy day. But first, all right, wind should not be a problem here, and if any red wasps try to come after me, I'm ready. Oh, it's not very gentlemanlike of me, the hole in my pants. So, let's start with the first reason. Why I left Vietnam. I know that's what y'all care about.
Damn nails poking out this damn thing.
So, 90% of the reason I left Vietnam is because I wanted to be closer to family. If y'all don't know, my parents are a little older. They're into their 70s. I'm the baby, right? I'm third of 3 boys, and I'm pretty far apart between my brothers. That being said, in 2024, my mom had some illness. I'm not going to go into detail. It's none of my business, not my story to tell. And there was no worse feeling than your parents going through an illness and going through a tough time, and you're halfway across the world. Now, I know a lot of people will want you to fly over. It's not an easy flight. It's not a cheap flight. Can't afford just to go back and forth a lot. From Vietnam, sometimes it usually takes 28 hours. So being that far apart was killing me. And I was like, oh, no worry, I'll get home every 3 months. Well, that doesn't happen. Before you know, it's 4, 5, 6 months, and I'm coming home twice a year. So that was a huge reason why I moved back home. The other like 5 to 10% would just be stuff that was going on in Vietnam. Number 1, the visa. Now, a lot of people think of Vietnam as, oh, they have an easy visa. If this was pre-COVID, that is true. You could buy a business visa for a year as an American for like $180. Very easy. Post-COVID, a lot of things have changed. It's gotten more and more difficult to get longer-term visas. And I didn't want to try to stay there 2-3 years and have to renew my visa every 3 months, because then you always have in the back of your mind, well, what if they deny me this time? What if they deny me that time? And I didn't want to do what I do on a tourist visa. So things like I've had to do before, I've had to do business visas, and the fees are astronomical. By the time you're paying thousands of dollars for a lawyer fee, you're paying to have an accountant, you're paying to have a studio, you're paying the police to come over and have to pay them off just because they're going to find something wrong with you. It added up, and it was just so stressful. Not only that, a majority of my time in Vietnam was in Dalat. Truly, the people, just because it was during COVID, it was a very special time, and the people I feel closest with are in Dalat. But Dalat changed a lot. It really just, tourism and people going to it, and it just got so crowded and overpopulated that it just wasn't the same Dalat. I told y'all, they come out of damn nowhere. Them red wasps are mean as hell. And other changes were, it just got hard to get my bike around. drive my bike around, I should say, because I got pulled over more times in the last month in Vietnam than I did my first 4 years there. I mean, they got strict. Even having my license and everything, just always getting pulled over, wanting money. And when it was like, you know, 200K, wasn't that a big deal. But once I started getting you for $1 million and stuff, it just, it got tough, you know. So I got up where I felt like I couldn't really even get around Saigon anymore. So to summarize that all up, I mean, no country's perfect. You know, I don't expect Vietnam to be perfect. I don't expect America to be perfect. I don't expect anywhere in Europe, Australia, whatever, to be, China, wherever, to be perfect. You know, there's pros and cons, just like everything in life. But the thing that truly made me move back was just my family. You know, I could push past all that other stuff. That ain't no big deal. But it's my family that got me moving back. I always loved Vietnam. Always cherished my time there. I think I got to live in Vietnam during one of the best times ever. And I'm so lucky for all the connections I've made and the skills that I've learned, like speaking Vietnamese. It was a huge chapter of my life. And I'm always going to go back. I guess that's the way I look at it. Because I'm always going to go back. And I'm just happy because Vietnam's now made me a part of who I am. Like, would I put my roots down somewhere, there's always going to be that essence of Vietnam. And I'm super excited about that. And that I got to, you know, learn all those things. Now, okay. So I moved back here July 2024, and it's kind of like, where the hell do I live? I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll do another city. I'll do something a little closer to my parents' farm because I can't live on a farm. How am I supposed to do what I do, travel food content, and I live on a freaking rural farm in Arkansas, an hour drive away from a small airport that has to fly to another airport just to start getting internationally? So I kept looking around. I thought about doing Asia. I said, hey, you know what? Let's check out Korea and Japan. One flight, you're over to Dallas or Atlanta and hop over to Little Rock, maybe 16 hours away from home. If it's under a day, I'm calling it a lot faster. Looked into it. Korea doesn't work. They say they have digital nomad visa. I think it's like a saving face thing because it is one of the worst digital nomads I've ever seen. You have to have a W-2. So you technically have to work for an employer. So it's me, somebody gets a 1099, does not work. No big deal. Okay, whatever. Japan releases one, only to top Korea for a worse digital nomad visa. It's only 6 months, and once you leave, you have to leave the country for 6 months. It's just tough because it's just hard because the main thing I think about right off the bat is housing's probably a minimum a year. So that's out for me. But I was like, oh, you know what? I could open a business. And between lawyer fees, the capital needed, experience needed, it's just a no-go. I probably could have made it work, just not worth the tedious stacks of paperwork you have to go for Japan. So I was thinking, okay, well, Europe. So I travel Europe a little bit, figure out where I don't like, where I do like, and I kind of got it narrowed down to Paris. Okay, I like Paris. But then it just feels like it's not quite right. For somebody like me who, I have a very gray opinion about most things. I'm not an extremist on anything. Where I like to live is very extreme. I either want to be in the middle of nowhere or I want to be in the fucking most crowded, busy, stuff's going on city ever. And I found Europe kind of hits in between that. So none of the places really checked off my box, which we'll come back to Paris. So then it goes to US. Where do I want to live in the US? Even close to US, I thought about Toronto. I thought about Vancouver. I thought about Mexico City. But the visa, living costs, what I like, just never really just hit all the boxes for me. I even thought in the US, I was like Pacific Northwest, you got Portland, Seattle. I was thinking maybe Austin, Texas. I thought New York. I thought Chicago. And there were so many places I went through. And the problem with places so close to here was, well, if I'm going to pay thousands of dollars in rent to live in a city that I'm only a couple hours of flight away from, why would I just not build what I want? And so that's how I kind of started rolling the ball about living here. So it was really between here and Paris were my final two things. I said, well, to really know if I'm going to like living in Paris, I have to go to Paris. I went to Paris. I was supposed to stay a month. I stayed 3 weeks, and I was ready to leave. Great city to travel. Not too sure it's great to live in. And the main reason I want to build here is I just love this place. I like remembering who I was, but what I love the most is traveling, taking things from other cultures and bringing it back here, whether it be India, whether it be Vietnam, whether it be Europe, whether it be Mexico, you know, different cities, and just implementing it, you know, really just putting in roots and putting in something that not many people get to see around here. There's not a lot of people that travel around here, and if I can bring that to small town Arkansas, it brings me joy. So yeah, that's kind of how I got here and how I thought about building. And I just realized, like, I want a place of my own. I want to have everything I want. And the beauty about being in one of the cheaper states is I can build a pretty nice place that's going to have a lower mortgage than anywhere I wanted to rent. So I'm going to get more. I'm going to have my space. I get to be close to my parents. And the best thing is, because the cost is lower, I still have that money to travel to these countries I want to travel to. Because that was a big thing too, is like, you know, you do New York, you spend so much money in New York, you don't have any money to travel or do anything. Well, here I still have financial freedom to move about. I can get back to Vietnam. I can do those things. I can, you know, go see those other countries I want to see. I can try those foods. And that's ultimately what felt like the right decision. It was something I've stressed over. I've been so negative, so depressed. And the funny thing is, if I would just taken a deep breath, enjoyed the moment, gone through the process, I would have got to the exact same point I am now without all that stress, without all that just negativity, with all that dread, without all the dread. And so that's what I'm trying to take away from it, 2025, the year of being present. I'm excited for the farm vlogs. We're headed to Chicago tomorrow. That's why this is just a talking head. But you know what we do got after Chicago? We start working on this place. Not building, but we got some prep work to do, and I'm going to bring you all along with it. Spring is in full bloom. You can tell it's in bloom, got bugs everywhere. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and we got a lot to do. That's the end of this one. Hope that answered everybody's questions. And, well, welcome to my new home.